What's up, YouTube? We are back at my shop. It's been a while, so you haven't been here in a bit, but if you watched my last YouTube video, you know what's coming. We are building up my new Specialized S-Works Stumpjumper 15 EVO. That's a mouthful. And I'm taking all, well, I already took, but we're moving all of my parts from my 2025 Switchblade onto this, so I'll be able to reuse a lot of my parts. Here's my Switchblade frame. So time to say goodbye to that. I'm selling it and gonna be able to put a lot more content out with this frame, the new Stumpjumper, for you guys. And here are all the parts. So we have all the amazing SRAM XX parts, Specialized saddle, Industry 9 wheels, going with the Zeb fork. So in the video, I'll be chatting about the frame, what my plans are for it, and yeah, what my expectations are. I'm gonna be doing a lot of comparisons between this and the Epic EVO, so I think you guys will be keen to see the comparison. So we'll get some sweet riding clips with this bike, but hey, let's build it up and let's chat. So part of why I wanted to build up a Stumpjumper 15 EVO is because, one, I did get the Stumpjumper 15 last year, rode it for just like a month or two, like not even. I got an S3, big mistake, I'm 5'10", didn't fit well, still was a fun bike, but I sold it because an S4 was really the right size for me, and I'm 5'10" again. So I just, held on to my Switchblade a bit longer. Now that they came out with the Stumpjumper 15 EVO, which is the same bike, all it is just now with the 160 fork. I think more people are building them up as a trail enduro bike. So they were like, you know what, let's just ditch the 150 travel in the front, slap a 160 fork on. They still kept a 145 in the rear, but they did make the Genie the Float X Genie versus like without the piggyback. So you do get an upgrade there, but same frame. So for all you guys, all of your other Stumpjumper 15s, if you didn't get an EVO, so easy to convert it to an EVO. So not even a big deal. Would I recommend it? I think 150 travel is fine. But again, I'll be able to do a lot of back-to-back testing on this bike versus the Epic EVO. So I think for whoever is looking for one bike or the other, you'll see some pretty good stuff, content that I'll be able to put out there with some riding clips and recommendations. But there are two totally different bikes. Again, the Epic EVO, I think, is more of, it's a light travel trail bike. It is not a cross-country bike. The Epic regular, that build is more of a cross-country bike. But yeah, the Epic A EVO is just like a light travel trail bike, 3 categories of trail bike: low, medium, long travel. So this is like the long travel. This is like what blurs the line between trail and enduro. A lot of their enduro racers, and they're winning races on this bike, they're using the Stumpjumper 15s versus their enduro bike, pretty old enduro bike, and they're using 170 forks. So I'm putting a 160 Zeb on this. I had that on my Switchblade. So again, I'm just moving all of my parts over. I'm gonna put the neutral angle position. It does come with some pretty cool stuff. So a plus and minus one right here, but I'm just keeping everything neutral right now. I'm gonna give it a ride the way it is, and then we'll see how it goes. And I think you guys are pretty lucky. So a lot of this stuff, because I'm taking it off, it's already kind of assembled. So it's not gonna be that difficult or long of a video to build it up, but just wanted to talk and give a little build video while I'm, building it up. You'll be able to see some pretty cool stuff, along with me kind of chatting on why I want to be building this bike up. So I'm pretty stoked to get back in the long travel game. I used to only ride the enduro bikes, and then I got into short travel bikes like a year ago, and now I am getting the itch. So nothing wrong with the short travel bike, but I do want to slam the downhills now a lot more. Like, not a lot more, but I want to get back into it. The Epic A EVO is great for an all-arounder, but if you're really trying to slap through rock gardens, it's still a bit chattery, so it'll get the job done, but it's not gonna compare to a Stumpjumper EVO plowing through that rock garden or super high speeds going down. Where will shine is more, the Epic EVO is more technical uphills, some rock gardens going up, and more of that like longer endurance ride. But I'm pretty stoked to try this out and give a pretty good comparison of the two. But again, I am super stoked on this bike. I was able to get a good deal on it, so I wanted to take advantage. I know I'm gonna be able to put more content out there for you guys, and we'll see how it goes. But again, this is my RockShox Zeb. I am using a 1-up cockpit. So 1-up bars, 760 length, 50 millimeter stem. I'm using SRAM Maven brakes. So all in all, this is a top tier build. This is awesome. So I'm very stoked on that. Gonna use, you know what? I'm gonna swap one of these out because I'm gonna use this mount. But let's take one of these spacers out, just right here. Perfect. Okay. There we go. Cool, cool. And again, the Zeb is 160 travel. So, you know, building it up as an EVO with 160 travel. I do have a Lyric, but I wanted to, you know, I've been enjoying the Zeb, and I think it's a great fork. Very supple, stiff where you need it to be, really absorbs the bumps, but, you know, nothing wrong with that. Running 200 rotors front and rear. I think the rear of the Stumpjumper, the 15s, are 200. Like, you have to use a 200 rotor in the back. So yeah, I mean, again, it's a long trail bike. You're probably gonna run that anyway, so we'll see. So what I did off camera was I did ride wrap the frame, so that's awesome. Took me about 2.5 hours, did it at my house this weekend, so I feel like it's a good thing to do, invest in your frame. So if you have time, do it, you know, grab a beer and just do it at home. But yeah, so things I already did was ride wrap the frame. I did put in the bottom bracket and installed the rear, you know, brake cable. That way we didn't waste time on that, but I'm gonna go back and re-grease a few things. I know in the comments you're gonna say, grease this. I'll go back later on. I'm gonna just, you know, I'm just filling this up so that we can talk and you know, get the build done. So I know that I'll be going back. So pretty cool. I'll go back with a torque wrench for this bolt. I'm pretty good at just like gauging it. But yeah, pretty sweet. Okay, quick intermission. Let's see what we got done. We got the bars, the stem. I'm using a 1-up tool here. Here's the Zeb fork. Looks pretty sweet. So we'll put the cranks in next, then we'll work on the back end. I am gonna have a 175, I forget if it's 170, 175 drop, whatever the new one is. It's that one, S4. Can't go any bigger, and who knows, like, because of my height, might have to try a 150 dropper, but I think the 170 should be fine based on my calculations. But again, so I'm at 5'10", the S4, you know, I've ridden an S4, it fits a lot more comfortably. I couldn't ride the S3 because of the reach. The reach was so short. It's like 450, 445 if you do a 160 fork, something around there. And I come from using a lot of bikes with like that 465 reach. So this is gonna have a 470 reach, which I'm pretty stoked on. So it should feel right at home. My large Epic EVO, that has a 470 reach, I believe. So again, I've been riding a lot of long travel bikes also, like my Yeti SB160. They've all had, you know, that 460, 465 reach. So I'll ride anything from like 465 to about 480 reach. This wheelbase is 1249, so 1,249 wheelbase. Again, you can flip the chip right there and play around with the wheelbase, which is pretty cool, but you know, I like a more stable bike for the downs, a lot more than a nimbler bike. You know, the S3, it's pretty nimble, but when I stood up on that bike, because I stand a lot, obviously, when I'm going downhill and I'm pinning it, my arms were killing me. So I did a lot of back-to-back testing, and I did look a little small on that bike, but to each his own. You might be 5'10", and an S3 is perfectly fine because you're used to those shorter reach bikes, if that works for you. Again, I think picking a size bike nowadays should not be just looking at small, medium, large, XL. If you're a veteran and you've ridden bikes, go based off of geometry. So look at what the reach is on your current bike you feel comfortable with and get it pretty similar. But if you're new, you kind of might have to bite the bullet, and your first bike might not be perfect, but you can learn from that. So if it's too short of a reach on the next bike, get a longer reach. Or if it's too long of a reach, get a shorter reach. So it's like shoe sizes. Like I could be a 10 for one brand and a 9.5 for the other. all these bike brands recommend different things, so it gets really confusing. So really try to dial down your geometry numbers that you like. Again, I think it's tougher for a new rider, but if you're a veteran, go based off of that. Don't just go small, medium, large, because I've ridden mediums most of my life, but with Specialized, I'm an S4 for their S sizing, and I'm a large for the Epic. So again, just watch, watch what you're buying and look at the geometry numbers of what you're currently riding, and you'll probably just be able to find the right fit. All right, guys, so I'm gonna be putting on my XX stuff. I use a 165 crank length. That's just my personal preference. And I'm gonna use a 32 tooth chainring. So again, 32 tooth, peekaboo. But again, it's just all personal preference. I think a lot of people riding bikes nowadays, they're gonna be wanting to use 165 crank length. But yeah, I mean, I'm using 165s, 32 tooth chainring. So, and on my other bikes, I've been riding with like 34 tooth chainrings, but on this bike, I think the 32 is gonna be fine. I'll put the little chain guide inserts too on here that you can incorporate with, or chain guard into these chainrings, but yeah, there we go. So let's set up transmission. I know it can be a little scary setting this stuff up. So, for me, I've done it so many times. This is a 35 Newton meter torque bolt. I'm using everything off of my switchblade, so we'll see how all of that fits together first before, if I need to cut the chain or whatever. So we'll see. I'm just making this stuff somewhat snug, and we'll be able to kind of see how it goes. Dab a little grease on this axle. It's a little tough over here. All right. It's a pretty sweet colorway. I do like this color a lot. It's a little different when advertised, but hey, it's still pretty sweet. All right, let's feed this chain through. So I do wax my chains. It is life-changing. Not only does it prolong your life of the chain, but it also keeps it nice and weatherproof. So I've been a fan. I did notice, I started doing it last year, that I've been going through less chains and it's so quiet. So couldn't recommend enough. It does last about 200 miles. So, another cool investment or holiday purchase you could do. Holidays are coming up. It's just get a crock pot from Silca. We use Silca, or I use Silca, and hasn't been a problem, but such a fun at-home little project to do. Like, just grab a beer or soda and, every 200 miles, like, not the end of the world. I mean, you can prolong it. You don't have to do it at the 200 mark, but I think it's worth it. I mean, I do it on all my bikes. On the e-bikes, it's been game-changing too. I'm gonna like just do this the old-fashioned way for the quick link. Just kind of like pull. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's set this up. I'm not really gonna go through how I'm like, but just quick. I loosen the other end. Back this off, smidge. So 35 Newton meters of torque. So we got 35 Newton meters, setting that up. I haven't had any problems with SRAM transmission, but it is very finicky. I've seen people who aren't doing it correctly and it's like throws their shifting out of whack. But I've been working on it so much that I haven't had any issues. So I think it's a great upgrade for your bike. I don't think you need to get the XX, but there we go. But yeah, I think, GX will be perfectly fine. And I'll bleed the brake off camera. I'm not gonna sit with you guys bleeding the rear brake, but the front will be fine. But let me just get, clamp the bolt down. Again, this was just a little quick build, just chatting it up with you guys while I'm building it and while I'm building it. But I'm pretty stoked. I'd love to do an enduro race next year on it at the Eastern States Cup. So I think that'll be pretty sweet. All right, let's grease this axle up. We'll get the front wheel on. I'm using Industry 9 wheels with the old, well, I guess you have to say older now because they came out with the new Hydras, but Industry 9 Hydras, which I've liked. They do have a lot of problems with the axle, so kind of hard. Like, I do love DT Swiss 350s, but I'm just using these wheels like I have them, so I might as well use them. Guys, I'm using this SRAM bio-based grease. This stuff is like freaking like so drippy. I don't know if anyone else uses this, but like this is like, that's crazy. I mean, I've mixed this, but like it gets freaking everywhere. Like I literally like have it all, it's like dripping out. So I'm just testing it out. So I'm gonna see how well it does, but it's pretty annoying when you're using it. And because I'm using a 1-up tool, I'm using this thread. You know, I haven't been using it recently, but on some of my other bikes, but it was on the Switchblade. I'm using all that stuff so I can justify not spending on this frame and just reusing. I think it's sweet if you have stuff lying around, just reuse what you have. You don't always have to, you know, buy new parts left and right, but I have so many parts lying around that, you know, I gotta reuse them. I just have to. Feels good. Tying this down. And let me know in the comments what you guys think of the color. I think it's sweet. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe to the channel. Almost at that 1,000 subscriber mark, so it goes a long way. I love chatting with you guys in the comments, so let me know what you're riding. Let me know what components you're riding, pros and cons. If you have any recommendations for parts for me to try, I'm all down for trying some new stuff. So drop a comment and, you know, I'll try to get that thing on my bike, but you know, I have a lot of videos that I plan on doing. So again, if you guys would like to see a pretty cool comparison video with some other things, just comment down below. Happy to reply and, you know, try to make a sweet video. All right, we're gonna put this Specialized saddle on. This is pretty cool. The Phenom Pro with mirror. One thing I gotta say, it's annoying to bash it, but I've had so many warranty issues with these mirror saddles. They're really good at sending another one out, and whenever I get one, it's creaking issues. They creak like crazy if it's faulty, but they'll send one out to you, so it's super nice. I'm assuming they are aware of the problem, but they'll send it out, so don't worry if yours is creaking. But if it is, send it back and get one that's not creaking. You know, that's, I think, just, you know, companies pumping stuff out. It's kind of, you know, sometimes you miss stuff, but I've had to replace quite a bit. Not the Phenom one, but like just mirror saddles in general. So if you have a creaky one off the bat, send it back, you know, just get one that's not, you know, try the next one if it's not creaky. You know, they're creak off the bat, so you'll know if it's a faulty one. That's so annoying. So annoying. All right. Let's torque this seat down, 6.2 Newton meters. I'll do 6 for now. Ooh, I'm gonna try with this seat post. Because of my height, try it all the way down first. So align this, should be good. All right, before the end of the video, I did weigh the bike. 33 and 1 ounce. 14.87 kilograms, but 33 pounds, and that's with pedals. So without pedals, it's pretty much 32 pounds. I am running a bit heavier casing tires, a little bit heavier of a wheel set, so I know that I can get this bike down to 31 pounds with pedals. I've done it before. So that's gonna be the end goal, but again, we're gonna try it as is. Didn't have to really spend any crazy additional money because all my stuff came off of the blade. It's all done. I didn't show on camera, but I did put these on. But here we go. XX transmission, XX cranks, 165, Industry 9 Hydro wheels, they're carbon rims, the Enduro ones, Minden DHR2. We have RockShox Zeb, DHF in the front, Zeb is 160, Maven brakes, 1-up cockpit, new RockShox reverb axis dropper, power mirror, not the power, what is this one again? The Phenom Phenom Pro mirror. Float X Genie, so again, 145 in the back, 160 up front. And here we go, guys, ride wrapped. That's such a beautiful frame, look at that. I'll bring it outside in a second, we'll get some natural lighting on it. And say goodbye to the Switchblade, listing it for sale. Bye-bye. Pretty sweet bike. Still highly recommend the Switchblade, but again, doing some pretty sweet comparisons with this bike. Gonna be comparing it to the Epic EVO. Again, it's a totally different bike. This is a long travel trail bike, that's a short travel trail bike. Not even in the middle, but gonna be showing you guys which one is good for which occasion. There's a bike for everyone, guys, so, you know, people like their long travel bikes, people like their short travel bikes. I like all bikes, so I like having each one. But that doesn't mean you guys have to have each one. Get the bike that's right for you. Hopefully my videos, if you've looked in the past or even just the future ones coming out, they can provide some insight for you guys. That's all I'm really looking for, getting you guys on the right stuff and showing you guys some pretty cool content, reviews, and riding clips. But again, there it is. And my end goal is I do want flight attendant front and rear. So I'm gonna test this Genie shock, the Float X one, let you guys know how it is. And eventually I'm gonna put a flight attendant rear shock on it, don't know which one. And flight attendant, also don't know if I'm sticking with the Lyric, so it could be another Zeb or it could be a Lyric. Sorry, I said Lyric before. Could be a Lyric, could be a Zeb, but again, I do want flight attendant on this bike. So that is probably gonna be one of the main things I change pretty soon to get a great review on how flight attendant feels on this bike and how it can, I think flight attendant can transform this bike into a do-it-all, just uphill machine. Flight attendant is game changing on my Epics, Epic 8 and the Epic 8 EVO, but to have flight attendant on this could be a total game changer for a 160 long travel bike or 145 rear, 160 front, climbing uphill at your local trail. So maybe that takes the Epic 8 EVO out of the running if you can get flight attendant on this, and you know you do have some better, less compromises. So again, this is a pretty sweet bike. If you guys like this video, like and subscribe to the channel. And the last thing is, oh yeah, I'm gonna be putting new tires on this. These are just temporary tires, gonna be running the Tacky Chance. If you have tire recommendations, just drop a comment down below. But again, like and subscribe. See you next time, guys.
Wow.